Welcome to SportsCenter. The logs on the hot stove are heating up. We'll let you know who's headed where. Sterling has lost his luster as his season comes to an end. One of America's top skiers suffers a devastating knee injury. And one of the NBA's best point guards goes down as well. In Philadelphia, Ricky Waters has gone from outcast to MVP. And in his 2-minute drill, Chris Berman looks ahead to Sunday's marquee matchup between two old rivals, the Steelers and the Raiders. On the heels of Thursday's performance, our cover story. From Chris Jackson to Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf, how religion changed his perspective and his life.
I was just sitting there, and I couldn't, I'm just reading. I looked at the brother, I said, that's what I'm gonna do.
The weekend has officially arrived, so be careful out there. SportsCenter is next.
Greetings, you're online with SportsCenter. Kenny Mayne here along with Susie Colbert. Carl Ravitch will be along in a bit, and so will Shaq, though not in this studio. He's almost ready to hoop, though.
You know, it's an old fable come to life. Santa knows who's been naughty and nice. Matt Geiger, Charles Oakley, the whole Pacer team, they get coal in their stockings. On the other hand, Orlando has been very, very good. Consider it an early Christmas present for the Magic, and it comes in a really big package. Superstar center Shaquille O'Neal, who wasn't expected to play until Christmas Day, has been cleared by doctors. O'Neal tore ligaments in his thumb October 24th when Matt Geiger, then with the Heat, took him out as he went to the hoop in a preseason game. Shaq took part in a shoot-around today. He will practice on Monday, and he is likely to return Tuesday against the Nets. Orlando faces Chicago on Wednesday. Consider Shaq's return a bonus. The Magic have the same record without him so far this season as they had in as many games with him last year. The biggest difference in boards. Last year, they were getting about 5 more boards a game than their opponents were. This year, almost 4 less.
Jose Canseco will aim for the big, huge green wall and other distant areas at Fenway for another 2 seasons. He has signed a 2-year contract. The plan is for Canseco to play some outfield, and he'll make more the more he does. He had .307 last season with 24 bombs, but he was a playoff bust, 0 for 13 against Cleveland. The Blue Jays have signed Otis Nixon to a 2-year contract. He's been in the majors 13 years, replaces Devon White, who left for Florida. Nixon hit .295 for Texas last season. The Reds didn't want to go to arbitration with infielder Mariano Duncan, but our man Peter Gammons says the Yankees will take him to the season and the next. It's a 2-year deal. Peter didn't stop with that knowledge. He says the Indians are giving the top shortstop in the game, Omar Vizquel, a 6-year extension worth $18 million and change. And lastly, Peter didn't report this one. We knew it on our own. Outfielder Chuck Carr has agreed to a 1-year, $325,000 deal with the Brewers. He was just traded to Milwaukee from Florida. Still more baseball for you right here. The Indians will pay pitcher Charles Nagy $3.25 million each of the next 2 seasons to throw strikes. That's the plan anyway. The Brewers and Kevin Seitzer have agreed on a new 2-year deal. Terms have not been disclosed, but whatever they are, there shouldn't be any problem at the commissioner's office. He owns the team. Seitzer hit .311 last season. He was an all-star third baseman. And finally, pitcher Jamie Navarro has signed for 3 more years with the Cubs. He was 14-6 last season.
The U.S. ski team has suffered another blow, but at least past experience is encouraging. AJ Kitt, one of this country's top skiers, has most likely sustained a torn ACL on the same course, Val d'Isère, where he captured his only World Cup victory back in 1991. Kitt crashed during practice for the men's World Cup downhill race. He'll travel to Vail, Colorado on Sunday to be examined by Dr. Richard Stedman. With rehab, it takes about 9 months to come back from reconstructive surgery and reach full speed. The reason for optimism: last season, Tommy Moe suffered the same injury, coincidentally, on the same course where he had won Olympic gold, Kvitfjell, Norway. Moe finished 14th in practice today.
The Redskins will go the rest of the season without defensive end Sterling Palmer. He's set for arthroscopic surgery next Tuesday on his right knee. Palmer was injured in early November against Kansas City. Since then, he's been playing less and less. He was in his 3rd season from Florida State, was 2nd on the Skins with 4.5 sacks. Ricky Rich Owens is the sub in the lineup. Mike Flores, the sub on the roster.
Neither rain nor sleet or snow can stop the mailman, but playing without the best assist man in the league may slow him down. John Stockton is doubtful for tomorrow night's game against Golden State. Stockton sprained his ankle in the fourth quarter of last night's loss to the Nuggets and had to be carried off the court. The good news is X-rays were negative. Stockton has missed only 4 games in his 11-year career. He is the active leader for consecutive games started with 463. Second on the list at 321, the mailman, Carl Malone.
Well, Susie, he had his hands full last night, did John Stockton. Only 5 days ago, Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf was sitting on the bench with blurred vision, couldn't see the basket. Last night against the Jazz, he could have shot with his eyes closed, and the ball still would have went in. Why? Well, Mahmoud, first quarter, lit it up. Three-pointer, three-pointer after three-pointer. He had been 6 for 29 in 2 previous games against Utah. At the end of the first quarter, he was 5 of 5. He had 17 points, knocking down the threes. His team set picks for them, and he said he felt good. Second quarter, a little bad pass, and Mahmoud steps in, would steal the ball. He'd take it in for an easy 2. He did it on defense. He did it on offense. Second half, he was still hot. 3, then another, then another. When all was said and done, Mahmoud Raouf,
up to Gammons, back to Mahmoud. There's a 3.
he had 9 threes. That's one shy of the NBA record set by Brian Shaw and Joe Dumars. He ends up with 51 points. And Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf is the focus of our cover story later. His existence off the basketball court. How he went from LSU to the NBA and from Chris Jackson to Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf. The role Islam has played in his life.
I can't explain it. It touches me today when I think about it. I was just sitting there, and I couldn't. I'm just reading. And I looked at the brother. I said, "That's what I'm gonna be."
That's ahead. When we come back, all 3 tours, men, relatively old men, and some women dining out at the Diners Club tournament. The Eagles facing the Cowboys this weekend, and Ricky Waters is right where he wants to be. We're going to hear from him and take a look at the other games going on. The Browns, bad luck. Will they win another game this season? SportsCenter continues after this quick timeout.
Hey Santa, I need a great gift.
Well, here's a gift you can open year-round. A Craftsman half-horsepower garage door opener, just $139.99. Craftsman for Christmas, only at Sears and Sears hardware stores.
He said, what? I'll be there in 10 minutes max. Do not start without me. Slow down, you're gonna get us killed. You're driving like a bat out of Hades.
Traveling's an adventure. Where you stay shouldn't be. Fairfield Inn by Marriott.
Walk into any Office Depot and 2 things are obvious.
Taking care of business.
First, Office Depot has a great selection of holiday gifts. And second, nobody beats our guaranteed low prices. Like cordless phones, brand name computers, fax machines, pen sets, and hot new electronics. This holiday, put Office Depot on your gift list and save up to 60% off list prices.
Taking care of business for the holidays.
So Santa, what you gonna hook me up with this year?
Free calls to MCI customers all day Christmas.
SportsCenter is brought to you by MCI's Friends and Family. You get friends and family, you get savings. Simple. And by Office Depot, taking care of business with guaranteed low prices on thousands of brand name office supplies.
Some encouraging news for 20-year-old Boston University freshman Travis Roy, who has been paralyzed since slamming headfirst into the boards during his first college hockey game in October. His father says Travis has shown some movement in the muscles of his arms and is being weaned off the respirator. Lee Roy also hopes his son will be able to talk again soon.
The foreign aid coming to Bosnia isn't just in the form of peacekeeping troops. The International Olympic Committee plans to spend $10 million to repair sports facilities that were built for the '84 Olympics but damaged or ruined by war. An IOC team will head to Sarajevo early next year to assess how the money should be used. It's hoped the construction projects will be completed before the opening of the '96 games in Atlanta. Plans are being made for a world-class track meet to be held in Sarajevo next September.
CBS Newsman.
If David Duval and Woody Austin were the PGA Tour's top rookies of 1995, imagine how good they could be as a team. The rest of the field at the Diners Club matches in La Quinta, California found out. Duval and Austin had a birdie putt on every hole as they moved into today's quarterfinals with 7 other teams. Match play on the Jack Nicklaus course, which means scoring by hole. Austin and Duval couldn't pick up where they left off. Woody Austin putting to square up with Bob Tway and Scott Verplank, but they would lose 2 up. Arnold Palmer paired up with Jack Nicklaus. Damn it. Oh, Arnie not happy as he pulls the shot. It's short of the green. At La Quinta, course Jack design. Nicklaus didn't get breaks either. Misses the putt from close range. Tough putting surfaces all day in the desert. To the 16th, Raymond Floyd and Eichelberger 3 up on Palmer and Nicklaus. Jack needs the long-range putt. What do you think? Can he and Arnie mount a comeback? Oh, boy. Well, Scott Verplank putting it in for himself, and he and Bob Tway advance. Kenny Perry and Don Houston 2-1, which means 2 up with 1 hole to play. Jim Gallagher and Steve Lowry advance. Tway and Verplank, they won. You saw that. Tom Lehman and Duffy Waldorf also won up. 2 groups are still playing. The LPGA and Senior PGA Tour players began play today, with each field consisting of 8 teams.
If you're struggling with the loss of a large Saturday college football schedule, this should soothe. The NFL offers a pair of games tomorrow. And here's a look. Cleveland is playing for pride. Minnesota is playing for the playoffs. The Vikings entered the game on a hot streak, having won 4 of their last 5, including last week versus Tampa Bay. In that game, Minnesota played some of its best defense of the year. The Bucs had only 83 first-half yards, and Minnesota made 8 sacks over 4 quarters. Since the announcement of the move to Baltimore, the Browns have gone nowhere. 5 losses in a row by an average of 2 touchdowns. And there's little relief tomorrow when they face the potent tandem of Warren Moon and Chris Carter. Over the last 5 games, Moon has thrown for more than 1,500 yards with 16 touchdowns and only 4 picks. And all Chris Carter does is catch touchdowns. He leads all receivers with 14 this season and has 9 in the last 5 games. Still, the Vikings find themselves in an all-too-familiar position of do or die in the month of December.
That's something that we've been in before. I mean, 93 when I would say we had to win games in a row. We had to win 4 out of 5, and we did it. So it's nothing new, to the Viking organization. Coach Green does a good job preparing us, and we know what we have to do to win. And that's just to win these games. No undue pressure. That's what this team was made of. Guys that can handle pressure.
The pressure's off for Buddy's team. At 4-9, they're already eliminated from playoff contention as they head into Saturday's game against the Chargers. The problem stemmed from Buddy's defense, which has been downright offensive this season. 24th in the league, allowing 352 yards per game. Last in the league versus the run, allowing more than 150 yards. That's a good sign for the Chargers, who got 127 yards from rookie running back Aaron Hayden in last week's win against the Browns. The Bolts have won 2 in a row, thanks in large part to their ability to hold on to the ball. Only 5 turnovers in their 6 wins, and they've forced 2 or more turnovers in 3 straight games. Chargers quarterback Stan Humphries has not thrown an interception in 4 straight games.
Straight ahead on SportsCenter, running back Ricky Waters from the doghouse to the penthouse in Philadelphia.
You want everybody to see your God-given abilities. It's as simple as that, and I never really got a chance to show exactly what I'm all about.
And the most hard-hitting rivalry in the history of the NFL revisited as Chris Berman gears up for Week 15 in the NFL with his 2-minute drill.
When these guys get through with this car, it'll never be the same. These are the professionals at AutoSound, the car electronic specialist. Sales and installation of sunroofs, car alarms, cellular phones, stereos, power antennas, cruise control, and custom computer-designed car audio systems. Choose from hundreds of car products from Alpine, Pioneer, Sony, Eclipse, Motorola and NEC, Ultra and Panther, Rockford and Precision Power. Visit or call AutoSound, 3158 Route 27, South Brunswick.
Hi, do you own a cellular phone?
Not on my budget.
Comcast Easy Access is easy on your budget.
How easy?
$189.95, including 1 full year of service.
Now that I can afford.
Comcast Easy Access makes cellular easy. 1 phone, 1 year of service, 1 price, and all in 1 box.
Easy to order supplies.
Easy to reach the sitter. Easy on my budget.
And a great gift. Comcast Easy Access, available at these Comcast Cellular One stores. 1 phone, 1 year of service, 1 price.
Cool.
Full court hoops coverage this Saturday on ESPN. First at noon, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane blows into Philly to take on John Chaney and the Temple Owls. Later at 8:30, Superfrost Stephon Marbury takes the Yellow Jackets on the road to Bluegrass Country to battle the Kentucky Wildcats in a Saturday night showdown. Tulsa versus Temple at noon. Georgia Tech versus Kentucky at 8:30. Tomorrow on ESPN.
Welcome back. Ricky Watters came to Philadelphia for one reason and one reason only, to be the man. Make no mistake about it, he understands the team game so long as the team, or at least the offensive end of it, revolves around him. It has taken time, but he has won over his teammates. The players and coaches recently selected team MVPs. Watters was the offensive pick. Sal Palantonio has more on Ricky's run to respectability.
He's the type of player who always, wants to have the ball in his hands, and he wants to, make that game-breaking run.
Ricky is just a guy that knows that he has a lot of talent inside, and he wants to be able to use that talent every chance he gets. You want everybody to see your God-given abilities. It's as simple as that, and I never really got a chance to show exactly what I'm all about.
The University of Notre Dame, the San Francisco 49ers. Standards for excellence for college and pro football. Ricky Watters never experienced a losing season with these teams, and yet, after 8 years, he still complains of a void in his career.
I have a national championship playing for Notre Dame, and I have a world championship playing for the 49ers. But every time I feel like I wasn't that much of a part of it. I felt like it was never a situation where I was the ball carrier, if you know what I mean.
He's doing his job. The bottom line, he's doing his job here now as far as giving a guy a lot of focus or this and that. Hey, he's our ball carrier. He's going to carry the football.
In the past, Watters has been accused of being selfish, and in Philadelphia, he short-armed this pass in Week 1, believing the game was already over.
Hey, I'm not going to jump up there and get knocked out. For who? For what? It's another day.
Watters later apologized, but he recently complained about not getting the ball enough, even though he is over 1,000 yards and already has more carries than he ever had in any season with the 49ers.
He came here figuring that he would be, the star of the offense, and he's done that. But, there's always been another person. Then that incites Ricky a little bit because, he's upset because it's his stage, and he's not getting first. He's not the headliner.
I just could not help feeling that when I watched, Emmitt Smith do his thing, or Barry Sanders do his thing, or Marshall Faulk, or whoever it is, it's like, I can be doing that. I could be doing those same things, but I'm not getting a chance. I've always said, put the ball in my hands, put all of it on my shoulders. If it comes down to the end of the game and who's gonna make a play for us, put it on me.
After the 49ers declined to match the Eagles' offer sheet, both players and management in San Francisco took shots at the departing free agent, saying Watters didn't have a clue of a team concept and wasn't committed to their long-range goals, their game plan, and their offensive system.
When it first happened, I'd be lying if I said I didn't care then, because I did, and it was like, wow, I thought they would take care of me. I thought everything was going to be all right, and we could keep on winning Super Bowls or whatever, but I'm all worried about winning a Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles now.
Despite Watters and the Eagles' rough beginning, Philly is poised for the playoffs, and Ricky believes he's the man to lead them there.
You have to have some go-to guys, and I just want to be one of the go-to guys. I've always wanted to be that since I was little. Everything I watched, I watched Tony Dorsett, Walter Payton, all the great running backs, and I wanted to be one of them. And now I have that chance, and it feels good.
Well, from Rocky to the rock-solid Emmitt Smith, they will meet this Sunday. Watters knows that Emmitt is the main man for the boys, and comparing head-to-head games, Watters has never outrushed Emmitt. Last month, Emmitt 158 yards, Ricky 80. One other note, somehow this Sunday, Ray Rhodes says Charlie Garner, broken hand and all, will figure in the game plan. Still to come on SportsCenter, Danny Werfel, the only junior among the big three up for the Heisman, how he stacks up. And the team in the NBA, everyone is looking up at the Bulls. They'll spar with the Spurs. We'll look at the matchup later.
Your own minor league baseball team.
roughly $1 million. The Big Shaver, roughly 18 cents. What do they have in common? They're both worth every penny.
The family of the future will have many hundreds of television channels.
Gee, mister, won't that be confusing?
Not with this, a video guide. It'll let them see what's on 70 days into the future, or what's on right now. It'll give them instant news and sports scores. And with just one touch, they'll even be able to tape record their favorite television shows. Don't forget the tape.
So what do you think they'd call this video guide?
Video guide, under $100 at Radio Shack and other stores.
She's a certified goddess, your soulmate waiting to happen. Without your Motorola pager, you would have missed her because you were out doing guy stuff. Biking, rollerblading, sweating. Then she paged you. Could you put some lotion on her back? You jump fast enough to make Pavlov proud because the wheels will wait. A goddess won't without getting snippy. Thanks to your Motorola pager, you know now. Without one...
Dave, are you there? Are you there?
You're just a lonely guy in tight shorts.
Dave.
The classic Airstream, around $5,000. The classic Bic, around 19 cents. What do they have in common? They're both worth every penny.
The inside scoop straight from the best in the business. Shula on the Jimmy Johnson rumors. Brown on the life of today's pro athletes. White on controversial leader Brett Favre. Spurrier on his arrogant image. Up close prime time tonight, 8 Eastern with Roy Firestone. The head coaching job at the University of California remains vacant. Mike Shepard, the receivers coach with the Cleveland Browns and one of 4 finalists for the position, withdrew his name from consideration. Still in the running, Notre Dame defensive coordinator Bob Davie, Southern Cal defensive line coach Ron Marinelli, and Packers quarterback coach Steve Mariucci, who was interviewed for the job today. Pass farther, run faster, block harder, take home the hardware. Last night here on ESPN, a lengthy list of awards were handed out to the best players in college football. Best quarterback, the Davey O'Brien Award went to Florida's Danny Werfel. The junior set NCAA record for passing efficiency and reached an SEC record of 75 career TDs. The Fred Biletnikoff Award for the nation's best receiver to Terry Glenn. Glenn had 17 TD receptions, a single season record. The Doak Walker for best running back to Buckeye Eddie George. The senior led the nation with 24 TDs and set an OSU record for yards in a season, 1,826. His 44 receptions and versatility also earned him the Maxwell Award as the nation's best player. Jonathan Ogden is the first Bruin to take home the Outland Trophy for best interior lineman, offensive or defensive. Sophomore Orlando Pace joins an impressive list of past honorees for best lineman or linebacker. Warren Sapp, Cornelius Bennett, Chris Spielman, just to name a few. DB Greg Myers won 2 awards, the Jim Thorpe and the Scholar Athlete. Northwestern saw Coach of the Year go to Gary Barnett, and injured linebacker Pat Fitzgerald won Best Defensive Player.
Among the largest of the 10 NBA games tonight, Chicago and San Antonio. Make sure to watch the late Sports Centers for the results. Make sure now to watch tonight's ticket for the previews.
Right now, Cadillac Anderson is just doing a great job for us because he really wants to help us out on the boards. And basically, that's all Dennis did last year. He didn't score for us much. So with the weapons that we have on our starting lineup, with Caddy concentrating on rebounding, it's just made us a better team.
A look at their numbers tells a different story. Last year, with Rodman on the glass, the Spurs were 4.5 rebounds better than their opponents each game. This season, they're getting outboarded by just over 4 a game and have the 5th worst rebounding total in the league. The Spurs have improved in at least 2 categories, AD. Opponents are averaging just 94.7 per game, the 2nd best mark in the league. And their 11-4 record is 4 games better than their 7-8 mark at this point last season. Meanwhile, Rodman's Bulls are riding a 4-game win streak and own the league's best record at 14-2. The top 2 teams in the Pacific Division battle tonight in Sacramento. The Sonics come to town having won 5 of their last 6. The Kings have won 5 straight. And second-year forward Brian Grant is coming off his best offensive night this season. 27 points in the Kings' win over the Magic. Like we said, those teams are playing basketball tonight, and so are these others. If you're on one of these teams, get back on defense. is the required reading portion of SportsCenter. Here are the 8 hockey teams playing tonight. No slashing, please.
Tonight's ticket is brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good.
On the way is Jose Canseco staying put after all. News on the slugger signing is still ahead. And Chris Berman mixes past and present in his 2-minute drill. Steelers, Raiders yesterday and today.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. This is dull. Doesn't have to be.
And now the starting lineup. That groom from Texas, Billy Clyde Humphrey. And at Bride, a 5'6" debutante from Alabama, Nell Peterson. The Humphrey wedding brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. The vows are up.
I do.
I do. And they're good. Whoa, Nelly!
That was beautiful, man.
Oh, Rex, go get me the vice grip pliers.
Rex! Get lost!
Rex! Thanks, Rex.
Vice grip blocking pliers, the handyman's best friend.
It's the Battle of the Bays as the Packers head south to tackle the Buccaneers. It's a clash of NFC Central Division rivals.
Just watch the damn game, for God's sakes.
Today we're going to talk to Stu Grimson to see how he got his nickname the Grim Reaper. Excuse me, Stu, a couple of questions. We could come back. This is a bad time. Let's just come on. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Get the fan. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yesterday, we told you Nuggets guard Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf was questionable for last night's game with a concussion. And we were half right. Abdul-Raouf was unconscious, scoring an NBA season-high 51. In the second half hour of SportsCenter, our cover story, Abdul-Raouf's source of inspiration.
Sometimes you lose control. You say, look, you don't know me.
Also ahead, a Heisman preview, the tightest race since 1985. Nebraska quarterback Tommy Frazier lacks the big numbers, except in the win column, 32 for his career. And Chris Berman revisits one of football's best rivalries, Raiders-Steelers, his 2-minute drill in a bit. First, Carl has a rundown of today's top stories.
Hi, Susie. Shaquille O'Neal, broken thumb, out at least until the end of December. Right? Wrong. Shaq's been given the green light to return. He may play Tuesday night against the Nets. Remember, he was hit during that game on October 24th. He vowed to be back before Christmas, and it seems the big fella has accomplished that goal. Without Shaq, the Magic doing just fine, thank you very much. Same record after 19 games this season as last. They're 14-4 without him. Magic then play the Bulls on Wednesday. Well, the baseball, the Red Sox continue to negotiate with AL MVP Mo Vaughn, though he isn't going anywhere. He's not eligible for free agency until after the '97 season. Red Sox did re-sign Jose Canseco, and Dan Duquette, the team's GM, says that may help in re-signing Vaughn to a long-term deal. For Canseco, 2 years, $9 million. The key to him staying healthy. He will play some right field, and incentives could push the deal to $10 million over 2 years. Speaking of outfielders who will play, Otis Nixon, 2 years, $4.4 million. He's going to try to continue the tradition of great center fielders in Toronto. Nixon goes to Toronto. The Yankees, they need pitching, but Peter Gammons says they haven't done much on that front. Instead, they have signed Mariano Duncan to a 2-year deal, so he goes to the Bronx and joins Tino Martinez. Omar Vizquel, Indians, exercised a 1-year option on him, then blew it out 5 more years. 6 years in all for the greatest glove at shortstop that baseball has. Speaking of good gloves, Chuck Carr, he signs with the Brewers. 1 year, $325,000. Staying healthy like Canseco, a big key here. He had $227 last year with Florida. Other signings, the fountain in Cleveland overfloweth with cash. Charles Nagy re-ups for 2 years at over $3 million per. All-star Kevin Seitzer back with the Brewers, a 2-year deal. And Jamie Navarro, a contract which could end up paying him $10.6 million over 3 years. Options and incentives push that figure that high. Well, the forecast for the East Coast Saturday is snow. Peter Gammons is on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where it is cold. But, Peter, I find this to be very interesting. About 18 months ago, people said this sport was dead. The Hot Stove League seems to be firing itself up. People are actually talking about baseball, aren't they?
Well, ever since free agency came in January of 1976, we have known that winter activity really helps the game. People talk about it, gets on the front pages. It is a self-generating thing for fans. It sells tickets. Last winter, when all we saw was Don Fehr and Bud Selig, I think that's what really hurt the game. There was no hot stove. People weren't talking about it. But now they are. You know, they're not so worried. In Boston, they're excited that Jose Canseco signed. They don't really care if they spent too much money or not. The important thing is that they're selling themselves and they're advertising.
Well, speaking of selling and teams getting excited and cities getting excited, the Cleveland Indians are sold out as far as tickets go. They have spent $20.75 million, $20.25 I should say, and then Charles Nagy gets $6.75 for the next 2 years. The Indians are spending money. Is that the only way to survive this baseball?
Well, I think it helps. I mean, after all, the Indians spent 5 years developing their talent. They have a tremendous minor league system. But they've gone out and they've said, look, instead of going for $30 million, that might be the size of our market. We've sold the tickets. We can roll the money over. We're going to give the fans everything we have. I think they've just modeled themselves after the Braves and said, look, we've got this great team here together. We've got the window of opportunity for maybe 3 or 4 years. We're going to do everything we can do to make sure that we win at least one world championship. And I think, you know, the way they signed Vizquel for 6 years, they have more great young pitchers in their lower farm system than any team in baseball. What better way to bring those young pitchers into the major leagues than with a guy like Vizquel behind them?
As far as, say, a Colorado Rockies team go, they spend a lot of money. They have their stars coming back. They came in the same time that the Florida Marlins did. The Florida Marlins opted to go the other way. Are things changing in Florida? Are they beginning to spend a little money?
Absolutely. They spent a lot of money on Devon White. They drove the price way up on Ramon Martinez and forced the Dodgers to sign him for $5 million a year. Now, they've got offers out to pitchers all over the place. Cone and Leiter. They were after Jamie Navarro for a while. They're going to sign 1 or 2 major pitchers. It wouldn't surprise me if they get somebody like McDowell or Al Leiter very soon. And I know they've also been talking to the Royals about Kevin Appier, who's going to be a high-ticket item. They want to win and win now because they feel not only the Rockies sort of, you know, been something of a comparison that they haven't wanted to deal with in Florida, but also they see that they have an opportunity. You can get in there as the wild card. Now, you don't worry about the Braves. You worry about the Rockies and the Dodgers and the Cubs and the Reds.
All right, Peter, you mentioned the Royals and Appier. Another name that Kansas City has talked around is Jeff Montgomery. It seems like relievers are perhaps the biggest position that will become available, and there are some jobs out there. Teams will be interested, won't they?
Absolutely. You've got Rick Aguilera looking for a job, and it's supposedly either the Cardinals or the Orioles. The Orioles say unequivocally they're going to sign either Aguilera or Myers. Then you've got Jeff Montgomery, who originally wanted to go back to Kansas City, and they wanted, but the Giants have come in and made an offer in the last couple of days, which might make Rod Beck available to someone either as a non-tender or in a trade. There are a lot of clubs that are just waiting to see what happens with these guys in the market. I think most every team that wants a closer will get one, and I think other teams like Boston may just take all the relievers they have, try to get through 2 or 3 months, and then go find someone for half a season.
And it worked last year in Boston. When Aguilera got hurt, they had success. Peter, thanks very much. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you in the spring.
Thanks a lot, Carl.
Well, which sport poses the greatest risk of a serious knee injury? Soccer, football, basketball? What about skiing? Richard Watkins is the medical coordinator of U.S. Skiing. He says 3 out of 4 kids have to, at one time in their lives, come back from a serious knee injury. 75%. AJ Kitt isn't a kid anymore, but he now faces an uphill battle before speeding downhill again. A severe knee injury Friday, the extent of which won't be known until he has further examinations early next week. Kitt, that nasty spill, the same mountain he claimed his only World Cup victory, he said he felt the knee go right away. Now, one doctor believes Kitt has a tear of the anterior cruciate ligament. It's the most serious knee injury an athlete can sustain, though there is reason for optimism. Both Tommy Moe and Picabo Street have had the injury and the resulting surgery, and both have come back very strong. Well, those injuries involve the cruciate ligament. In the case of the Redskins' Sterling Palmer, it's the cartilage. His knee had been bothering him all season, finally gave out on him, and as a result, he will be out for the remainder of the season. It's been about the only bright spot on the Skins' defensive line, a D-line which has been relatively dark this year. Palmer started in 11 games, second on the team with 4.5 sacks. The rookie Rich Owens will take his place. Owens, by the way, gotten a lot of playing time the last couple of weeks. The defense held the Eagles to 14 and Dallas 17 points the past 2 Sundays. Well, John Stockton got hurt last night. He's doubtful for Saturday's game. The good news is, before Mahmoud scored 51, he was listed as questionable. And the 2-minute drill looks back more than than 2 decades. Raiders, Steelers, immaculate reception. What has happened to the rivalry since then?
Got anything to eat?
What are you? I'm Face.
I think that we could use a snack. You need to relax. I'm on arm. To the kitchen!
Hiya, Joe. You got anything to eat?
I got these Eagle snacks.
Eagle snacks. Eagle snacks.
What do you feed your face?
When we first came here, we saw that there were 3 swings, 6 horses, 1 slide, and 1 set of monkey bars for 120 children. We looked around, we realized these kids that come here really need a heck of a lot more.
What do you suppose would happen if everyone decided to put just a weekend's worth of effort back into their community? Building, renovating, whatever. Things might just begin to change, which is why on one weekend in June, a group of Saturn retailers, owners, and team members got together and built 12 playgrounds in the New York area. And while in the grand scheme of things, that may not seem like much, it's a start.
All right, gentlemen, tomorrow, your butts are mine. Lights out.
Man, I'm hungry.
Russell Athletic Wear is made to handle the toughest situations on and off the field.
Hot dogs. French fries. Hamburger. Tacos.
Tacos grande.
Pizza. Coach.
Going somewhere, ladies. Hard work.
Dedication. Commitment.
Get Russell Athletic. Get tough.
Get up there, Lord, but go.
Serving up the $6 million Grand Slam Cup from Munich, Germany. Quarterfinal results. Jenny Kafelnikov oust Jaco Elting in straight sets. Yesterday, Pete Sampras announced he was dropping out because of inflamed muscles in his right leg. Goran Ivanisevic wins in a walkover. Downhill specialist Picabo Street worked hard over the summer on the giant slalom in an effort to win the overall World Cup within 3 years. All that practice on making smaller turns was finally put to the test today at Val d'Isere. But Picabo's used to those big, wide turns, but the gates were coming fast. Not a bad performance, though. She gained some unexpected World Cup points with a 24th placed finish. Street finished in 1:56.55. New rules this year, second run in reverse order of the finish from the first run. Slovenian Mojca Sajuda claims the lead with a time of 1:54.67. Some nice smooth runs. With 1 skier left, Sajuda could only look on as German and GS specialist Martina Oertel-Besser with a time of 1 minute. 54.44 seconds. Oertel held off 2 up-and-comers to win for the 5th time in her career and 2nd time this season. Don't feel bad for Street. She's already won a World Cup downhill this season. Dating back to last season, that makes 6 in a row.
Just like in the olden days, the Oakland Raiders get together with the Pittsburgh Steelers this Sunday, and when that happens, Chris Berman gets excited. It's called the 2-minute drill, but Chris was so excited he went overtime because the winner in 9 of the last 11 of these games has ended up in the AFC Championship.
Can it really be that the Immaculate Reception happened 23 years ago this month? No way! But it's true. As the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Oakland Raiders get set to revive one of football's best rivalries, it's hard not to imagine back to December 23rd, 1972. 4th and 10, final seconds. Terry Bradshaw's pass to Frenchie Fuqua. Knocked away by Jack Tatum. Rookie Franco Harris plucks it off his shoe tops. Look at him go down the sidelines. He runs 60 yards into the end zone to give Pittsburgh its first playoff win ever. 13-7 over a stunned Oakland. It was a play that would define Franco's Hall of Fame career. In many ways, define the Steelers, who would ultimately win, of course, 4 Super Bowls later in the 70s, and it lit the match under a Steelers-Raiders series that was arguably the hardest hitting in NFL history. 9 times they met from 1972 to 1976, all 5 years of those in the playoffs, starting with the Immaculate Reception in the divisional round. And after Miami won their Super Bowls in 72 and 73, except for one season, it was either Pittsburgh or Oakland representing the AFC in the Super Bowl from 74 through 80. And we might add, winning it every time they got there. Pittsburgh got to their first Super Bowl by belting the Raiders 24-13 in the 1974 AFC title game. The Steel Curtain defense held Oakland to only 29 yards rushing and harassed Kenny Stabler into throwing 3 interceptions, 2 of them late, to seal the game. In 1975, a frigid Three Rivers Stadium was the site of the title game rematch, and the Steel Curtain was just as bone should. Jack Lambert recovered 3 fumbles. Bradshaw to John Stallworth for a big fourth-quarter touchdown. Pittsburgh was on to their next Super Bowl, 16-10. In 1976, Oakland turned the tables, rolling 24-7 in the title game at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Stabler threw 2 touchdown passes, one to Pete Banaszak after Lambert nailed him, causing rib-head and hip injuries. Like the Steelers 2 years before, the Raiders turned this title game win into their first Super Bowl crown 2 weeks later. When Billy Joe Hobart throws against Neil O'Donnell Sunday, hopefully they can appreciate some of this legacy. What kind of legacy has the 95 season wrought us? Well, here are the most basic handicapping breakdowns with just 3 weeks left in the season. Favorites under 500 are 47%. Home teams against the number aren't a real bargain, just 51%. Home dogs, not bad, 55%. But the big trend this season has been the big-time favorites taking a header. Thanks to our friends at the Gold Sheet, we've broken it down. Teams favored by under a touchdown just over break even, 52%. Teams favored by 7 to 9.5 points are covering at 44%. But look at the last number. Double-digit favorites, 9 and 20, just 31%. Dallas has even lost 3 games straight up favored by this much. The Niners have lost 2 straight up. So as the numbers climb in December, beware. Don't tell us that the Swami didn't warn you. Last week, in the excitement of the Vince Swambati Trophy, we forgot to continue our own playoff drive. A 2-3 week leaves us 8 under with 3 weeks to go. But we get started on Saturday. The Bolts are back in town. A win makes it 3 straight, 7-7 in playoff hope. The Cards' hope ended long ago. Sunday, Dallas is number 2 high. I know Philly's undersized, but they'll play large at home, giving the Cowboys all they can handle before losing by 3. How about 2 more home dogs? The Bears haven't won a road game in December since the 80s. Cincinnati outright, 31-27. Nobody roots for football's Rasputin. Wayne Font's harder than I do. But this is a dangerous spot for the Lions. They win at Houston, but just by 1. I know the Rams are a home dog, but the Bills can't fool around here. It's a low number. Buffalo finds a way. And now, the Steelers at the Raiders. Oakland leads by 1, which is seconds to go. Pittsburgh turns to Cordell Stewart at quarterback to pull out a miracle. The rookie drops back in his own territory. He heaves one downfield. It's tipped. And out of nowhere comes Franco Harris. He's got the ball. He's running towards the end zone. He could go. Wait, touchdown Pittsburgh. The guy who authored the play and the man who caught the immaculate reception on the same team. Amazing. The Steelers win it 13-7. Naturally. Hey, you never know.
Thanks, Chris. By order of Chris Berman, game day goes off at 11:30 a.m. the rest of the way. Saturday, they'll speak of the Warren Moon, Chris Carter football language. Sunday, locate Emmett Smith TD balls. Sterling Sharp will break chalk up at the board. NFL primetime sticks with its usual time and day, 7 Eastern, Sunday night. See many plays from many angles. Cheer your team to victory even when the games are all over. With the exception of Sunday night, which is right here, the Packs, the Bucks. Brett Favre is good.
Chris Berman's 2-minute drill is brought to you by Nokia, connecting people, leading manufacturer of cellular phones.
Straight at you on SportsCenter. Who's the front runner in the tightest Heisman race in a decade? The latest polls say Eddie George. Hear what Chris Craig and the coach say when we come back.
One-touch dialing lets you call important numbers with one touch of one button.
Emergency road services.
Amazing.
Nokia mobile phones, title sponsor of the Nokia Sugar Bowl.
When Bruce and Gary Coleman were growing up, they loved to play with cars.
My car's better. My car's better.
The boys turned their love of cars into a career. Coleman Oldsmobile Jeep Eagle Subaru.
October is the time to check out the GMAC Smart Lease on the Olds Cutlass Supreme. Just $249 a month.
So stop by and say hi to Bruce and Gary.
My car's better. No, my car is better.
The Coleman Brothers and Coleman Oldsmobile Jeep Eagle Subaru, where family values mean a great deal.
You can count
count on us.
Slide on down to Better Living. You'll find the lowest prices of the season. As a member of ADC, you're assured of best value, great selection, and service you can count on. Whirlpool is offering $50 rebates on selected washer and dryer laundry pairs. It's for a limited time only, so hurry in.
You can count on better living. You can count on us.
Beach in Mexico, you see, and I'm sitting in the shade, and there's a kid looking at me. So my daughter's there, my grandson, and my wife's down, who's a big broad. I mean, a big lady. She's down on sunning herself on the beach, and this kid's looking at me, and he comes up to me, he says, "Excuse me, are you Frank Gifford?" "Oh, what the hell is this kid, blind?" And my daughter says, "Yeah, and there's Kathy Lee down on the beach." My wife plays 3 times as much as Kathy Lee.
This channel, this night, 9 Eastern, see people conk each other in the face. ESPN Championship Boxing, James Toney will hit Greg Everett and vice versa. And Michael's second to none goes at it with John Scully.
Eddie George, Tommy Frazier, and Danny Werfel all distinguished themselves with their outstanding play on the field. But today, the anxiety must be tougher to deal with than a crushing blow from the opposing defense. The tightest battle of their careers will be decided tomorrow night, and all I can do is wait. No game film, no wind sprints, no run-throughs. Chris Fowler and company in New York with a Heisman preview.
Thanks, and welcome to the Trophy Room on Heisman Eve. And guys, for the first time in a decade, there is genuine suspense regarding Saturday night's announcement. As far as voter turnout, a Heisman record. 91% of the possible ballots were returned. Almost half of them returned in the final week. Early on, only 7% of the ballots came in. But look at the total build, and after December 2nd, that Saturday, half came back.
Everybody's wanting to see how Danny Werfel performed in the SEC championship game. I thought he did a great job there.
Remember, he won. That really helped him.
Tommy Frazier arrives tomorrow morning. The other 4 finalists are already here in New York. The early arrivers, Danny Werfel and Eddie George, getting to the home of the Heisman this afternoon. Darnell Autry and Troy Davis get off the plane and get a look at the Statue of Liberty at sunset, but their thoughts then turned to another figure. Troy, it's okay to touch it. You almost don't want to get too close to that thing. Those 2 guys are just sophomores. They could have other years. The junior, Danny Werfel, the most efficient passer in NCAA history, trying to make the latest Heisman run ever. Darnell Autry, the sophomore from Northwestern, trying to come out of nowhere and make a statement. Eddie George, he's already won the Walter Camp and the Maxwell Trophy. Tommy Frazier, great stats to go along with the intangibles. And Mr. Davis, the first sophomore to rush for more than 2,000 yards. A very energized Heisman debate. Criteria very different to the different voters.
Well, Chris, the 3 top contenders are unique in one situation. They excel in different ways. Danny Werfel, the passer. Eddie George, the runner. Tommy Frazier, he runs and pass. But they have one great thing in common. They're winners. 34-1 combined record for their teams. Can they play or what?
Outstanding, and I admire them all for their talents. But I tell you what, this has been great for college football that we have come down to the final decision of the Heisman Trophy, and nobody really knows who's going to win it.
The very rare 3-way race. We hope you join us for all the suspense and the drama of the Heisman Trophy announcement at 7:30 in the Werfel and George time zone, 6:30 in the Autry, Davis, and Frazier time zone on Saturday. Let's go back to SportsCenter.
Okay, Chris, how could you not watch this? Chris, Craig, and the coach will deliver the Heisman Trophy Award ceremony, as Chris said, 7:30 Eastern tomorrow night.
Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf is coming off a 51-point game. His story's our cover story, and that is next.
Sometimes you lose control. You say, look, you don't know me. I don't play that. We can go right now. And then you start thinking, please God, I didn't mean to do that.
Killer instinct. Playtime is over.
John, he's off on business.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, the guy deserves a rest. A week on the road, seeing the sights, dining out.
Ever notice how business trips are more fun for those not taking them?
I say, let him enjoy himself. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Courtyard is the hotel designed by business travelers. Nobody's better equipped to help you relax and retool.
Oh, Mr. Bowen, your wife called.
Thanks. For all that fun you're supposed to be having.
Courtyard by Marriott.
I'd like to think of the SportsCenter talent as one big team, a happy family, but with any team, there's rookies, and you got to haze them.
You got to earn your wings to be at this place.
Fake fan letters. I mean, he's still upset about that. Oh, how about the glue on the keyboard? And then there's the big one, teleprompter.
When we return, a very special interview with Seymour Heine.
It's tradition.
You don't question tradition?
No, not around here, you don't.
The 1990 NBA draft. Derek Coleman, then what? Denver takes Chris Jackson third, and immediately he flops. At one point, Jackson says, I like basketball, ain't no doubt about it, but I don't like it the way I used to. Actually, I wish I could give up basketball right now and go around the world, try and talk Islam, try and preach Islam, try and live Islam. As Bob Lee reports in tonight's cover story, Islam gave Jackson back his career, and it might ultimately be what cuts it short.
حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على فلاح حي على فلاح حي على قيم الأمل حي على قيم الأمل.
Beginning before sunrise and continuing through the day, Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf of the Denver Nuggets recites the 5 daily prayers required of a Muslim. He believes his conversion to Islam 4 years ago changed his life and also made him a better NBA player.
Now it's Raouf streaking out, penetrating with the finger roll, pouring it on. Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf.
He grew up as Chris Jackson, attending Baptist services in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Sometime at night he would come to me and he said, well, Mama, just teach me how to say my prayers, you know, and we would just kneel down by the bed together and just say the prayers.
He was heavily recruited out of high school and a national figure in 2 high-scoring seasons at LSU.
Are we going to win it, Chris? Are we going to win it? Take over, huh, baby? Come on, Chris.
Jackson earns the steal in the open floor against Price. And lays it in. The human highlight film.
Chris Jackson was the 3rd pick in the 1990 NBA draft. But after 1 season, he was labeled a disappointment. He was 22, in a new city, under heavy criticism, struggling to learn the pro game and control his Tourette syndrome, a neurological disease. These crises intersected with his spiritual thirst when a friend introduced him to the Quran, the Muslim holy book. Within 4 pages, he felt the impact.
It seemed as though it was talking, it made me, I can't explain it. It touches me today when I think about it. I was just sitting there, and I couldn't, I'm just reading. And I looked at the brother, I said, that's what I'm gonna be.
He became a Muslim in the summer of '91 after his rookie season. A year later, he changed his name. The following season, in the fall of '92, with a new coach and a new offense, the growth in his game earned him the NBA's Most Improved Player Award.
Now that he's a Muslim, he's a firm believer in being a Muslim. He's more confident. He's more determined, and it's definitely made him a better basketball player, I think.
The wing is up and in again.
But Abdul-Raouf's conversion meant adjustments for the Nuggets. He often misses a pre-game meeting in order to pray. The NBA life is full of challenges to Islamic law. Abdul-Raouf showers alone, lest he see his teammates nude or be seen himself. He may neither touch nor shake hands with any woman outside his family. Remaining devout and courteous requires ingenuity.
Sometimes I'm coming out to get on the court, and purposely I'll be putting on my jacket at the same time coming out, and people out, women, doing so I want to touch you. So, or even I'll be putting it on, walking out, doing this, or I'll just put my hands in here like this and walk out like this, because they're going to touch you.
His profession tests his faith most profoundly during Islam's holy month of Ramadan, which falls between February and March. Muslims must fast totally during daylight hours. No food, no water. The Nuggets are concerned with the weight loss and fatigue they observe at this critical point of the season.
When he's fasting, that crossover is slow as Methuselah. Okay, and those are the things that you can show him. You say, hey, Mahmoud, here's your crossover before you're fasting. Here's your crossover while you're fasting. Okay, that's just a distinct difference.
Over the last 4 years, Abdul-Raouf's minutes during Ramadan have generally increased, while his scoring and his shooting have declined slightly. He has heard the criticism.
When you're losing, emotionally sometimes you want to point at something. I can go across the league and point fingers. You was at the club. You was drinking this. You was with this woman. You was with that woman. So, and that wasn't for Allah. That was selfishly. So I ignore it and do what I have to do.
Abdul-Raouf travels the league in the embrace of a Muslim support network, which greets him in each city. He repaid this Islamic obligation by befriending and counseling renowned high school star Sharif Abdul-Rahim during his recruitment, paying for the young man's unofficial visit to the University of California at Berkeley. Abdul-Rahim stunned recruiting observers when he signed with Cal. The prominent Muslim presence in the Bay Area influenced his decision. Abdul-Raouf credits Islam with his emotional calm in the nightly battles of the NBA.
Sometimes you lose control. You say, look, you don't know me. I don't play that. We can go right now. And then you start thinking, please, God, forgive me. I didn't mean to do that. So sometimes, in that sense, it's difficult to handle.
With 3 years left on his contract, he is close to walking away from the game to devote his life to Islam.
It's not the same anymore with basketball in terms of the way I used to feel. I love it. I want to play till I'm 100 years old. I still like the game a lot, but there's more that I want to do with my life.
Mahmoud Abdul-Raouf scored 51 last night. He had 9 3-pointers, one shy of the record set by Brian Shaw and Joe Dumars, though neither of those guys broke the 50-point club. Coming up in minutes, the Heisman Trophy preview show, Downtown Athletic Club, New York City. Chris, Craig, and the coach there to break it all down and add up the numbers for you.
When you go up to Seattle, you find out that Magnolia Ace Hardware makes new ideas a family affair. And your local Ace will give you plenty of ideas on how to save throughout the holidays. It's true, Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks.
So Santa, what you gonna hook me up with this year?
Free calls to MCI customers all day Christmas.
The Maglite flashlight, the world's finest, crafted from solid aircraft aluminum, sealed at each end with high-grade rubber O-rings, with an exclusive patented self-cleaning switch and a patented adjustable beam. The Maglite flashlight, American-made to be brighter, tougher, more dependable. The Maglite is a work of art that works. A Maglite flashlight is the brilliant gift idea for any occasion.
When some ref starts blowing his whistle like he was Benny Goodman, you can't blame a cat for getting kooky. The boss from Indiana wears a sweater on his back. He will grab a chair and part your hair if you give him any flack. Hey, Indiana, that team is one class act. Hey, those V-necks are gorgeous. Do they come in Angora?
SportsCenter is brought to you by Maglite, the perfect gift to brighten the holiday. Maglite. And by Office Depot, taking care of business with guaranteed low prices on thousands of brand name office supplies.
Steal by Polk. Oh, JJ all the way.
To the lane, but there's Robinson there. Bullard couldn't get it to go, and now no floor balance for Atlanta.
Here's a break. O'Donnell scores, and the Sharks lead 1-0.
NCAA soccer semis here. Virginia and Duke going at it. Here's Duke on the attack. Steve Maynard to Brian Kelly. Kelly tries to center it. It's a big pig pile of players in front. Duke gets the goal finally. Jay Heaps. Goal! 1-0. And Duke took the lead just like that. They hang on and take down Virginia. The dynasty done. The Cavs had won 4 titles in a row, 33 games in a row, but not this one.
And Lars Hansen scored in the 74th minute, and Wisconsin advanced to his first NCAA soccer final with a 1-0 victory over Portland. The game played before the largest crowd ever for a soccer game in the United States. And in case you missed it, the Magic have activated Shaquille O'Neal. He's cleared to play with a splint next week.
Next week, they weren't doing so bad without him. Already 15-4 at this point in the season. Shaq will be back next week. That's going to do it for this edition of SportsCenter. The next one is coming your way at 11 Eastern. Linda Cohn and Keith Olbermann, they'll follow up right after boxing on this channel.
For Carl Ravitch, I'm Susie Culver. Keep it right here for the Heisman Trophy preview show. Chris, Craig, and the coach standing by in New York.
I'm Kenny Mayne. See you next time.